The particular piece of my physique that was bugging me when I came to see her was my shoulder. I just started kayaking, not on open water, just on a quiet surface, but kayaking was really bothering my shoulder, and I really wanted to kayak, so I came to Tammy to try to fix my shoulder, which has gotten much better. I can make it hurt again, but it mostly is gone. Tammy's approach is more holistic. In other words, thinking about how the mind affects the body, which affects the elbow. And so if she's working on the elbow, she's typically not actually working on the elbow. She's working on the pieces of the body that surround it, and also on the aspects of life that might be triggering it, aside from just using your elbow. I mean, for my digestive problem, the mind-body connection is a little more obvious to me, and more obvious to me after my conversation with Tammy, which is that it's both a physical problem, but it's a physical problem that is related to my mental state. So as I begin to deal with the physical problem, but we don't deal with the mental state that, set up the stage for that problem, I will never remove the issue. So if she can both address the physical problem as well as talk to me about understanding the relationship of how the emotional issue addresses the physical problem, and B, how the emotional issue began, then we can begin to step all the way back to the beginning and hopefully eliminate the cycle. So that one's a little more direct than, say, my wrist issues that we've been working on, but they're 20 years old, so the emotions and so forth are relatively old with those, and a little bit more difficult to access. Well, I think the big change from where I was when I started to where I am now, both physically and emotionally, is awareness is increased, and so I'm much more aware of the limits of physically I'm exploring or not when I'm finding pain. There's less of it in some areas because it is taking some impact, but there's plenty of other items for Tammy to work on. And then emotionally, I think it's also awareness. I'm spending a lot more time trying to figure out how to alter things or how to set up my life better. One of the big problems I have is just space. I have too much on my plate, and too much emotionally on my plate, and also too much responsibility on my plate from a personal as well as professional point of view, and trying to find refuge or moments of pause to help me just manage that better. Well, I think the recommendation for seeing Tammy would be that she does approach it a little bit differently, and if you have long-standing problems or new problems that just don't seem to be dealt with by other people, I think that's where Tammy's been great, where she looks at a problem from an emotional, from a physical point of view, and comes at it from both sides. And some of the problems I've had, she works on almost entirely physically, and others are much more integrated. I guess it depends on what they're from, but certain things like my chronic wrist that I've had for 20 years, it's been a great sort of easing of the pain. I have a nerve damage down my left arm and up my shoulder, and those are things that have been managed better. So I think some of these things I'd kind of given up hope on from conventional doctors are actually regaining hope on. And I have this varicose vein problem in my legs, and I've gone from needing to wear thigh-high stockings to getting away some days with no stockings, or many days with no stockings. And it ebbs and flows quite a bit with the heat and my own emotional state, but I think that her approach does offer hope in areas that maybe hope was diminishing.